with respect to last week. On Tuesday, I attended a special town meeting, and I have to say that the voice of the people was heard. It was a very interesting meeting. There was 1,025 people there, and I guess that's certainly one of the records. On Wednesday, I attended the Veterans Day, participated in the Veterans Day parade and service on the Common and at the high school honoring our veterans. And I do hope that the $900,000 cut from the Soldiers' Home in Holyoke will be restored. That is a disaster there. And we speak about the veterans and how we have to honor their service and all. There's no better way to honor them than by taking care of them. And you can quote me on that.
I also attended the Veterans Day events, and was reminded when you mentioned the letter from Vince Viglione, the Veterans Graves Officer. 3 years ago, he submitted a list when I was still chair of the Community Preservation Committee for fences to protect the 5 cemeteries. And congratulations to him and to our town for funding it. You might remember 2 months ago I testified in Boston in support of a bill to strengthen the Community Preservation Act. And one of the projects I actually mentioned before that, the joint legislative committee, it's a joint committee of the Senate and the House, was Vince's effort on behalf of the cemetery, because cemeteries are something that don't typically get lots of public support. Whereas with CPA, historic preservation money, we can honor veterans and we can do historic preservation outside of the usual budget. I'm glad to say that last week that joint committee approved the bill, and it's now passed on to the Ways and Means Committee. We don't know what's going to happen to it this year, but getting past that one joint committee is an important step, and hopefully it'll pass either this session or next year. Will it increase to 35%? The 3 components, one of them is to guarantee a 75% match. As you say, it's set 35% this year. The second component allows you to spend CPA funds on things beyond what are now restricted. In particular, for example, we would be able to approve the request for irrigation system at the middle school fields. Remember, we did it in the high school, and then there was a court case that said you can't do that in the future. So that would be a second one. The third one, which doesn't directly affect Belchertown, but it would allow some of the cities to participate, and anything that, if you think regionally, anything that's good, that would be helpful to the old industrial cities like Springfield and Chicopee and Holyoke, certainly would be good for us. And so those are the 3 basic components of the bill, and we're hopeful it'll pass.
Also attended Veterans Day ceremonies last Wednesday, and Mr. Grosso, familiar face to those of you in the audience probably, did a tremendous job as the guest speaker. And once again, Keith Poulin, or Commander Poulin, did a wonderful job of coordinating the entire event, and it was flawless. I think the star of the occasion, though, was certainly the 6th grade band. They were phenomenal. Mr. Genotasio, I know this is his first year taking over the band in the 6th grade, and boy, he has done a wonderful job. They were great. So congratulations to the band and to Mr. Genotasio as well. Also, just wanted to mention and thank the 1,025 voters that did come out at special town meeting, and I am very pleased. And over the last several years, I have practically begged people to come to special town meetings, so thank you very much for showing up and for participating. I also wanted to take another opportunity to just extend my respect that I have for the entire board of trustees for the Platt Memorial Library, in particular Mr. Lamphere, Mr. Harris, and Mr. Galanick. So many times when you have these hot topics and really visceral gut type projects and issues out there, you get spin doctors and so on and so forth. But while those gentlemen were certainly strong advocates for the library and this project, they certainly bent over backwards to make sure the facts got out there, and if there was any questions, that they found out what the correct answers were, and they try to pass it along to the public. So I think they certainly deserve a tip of the hat, and thank you, and I will do that again. Thank you, gentlemen.
The timing of this actually came out very well. The Town Government Study Committee is looking at hopefully wrapping up with a final report. One of the things that I would suggest, and Al, you mentioned it, there was, I believe the actual number was 133 people of the 1,025 did not vote. But I think it's time, if anybody who attended the meeting had suggestions or things they'd like to offer, if they could call Town Hall and or to leave a message at Town Hall or through an email, those emails will be forwarded to the Town Government Study Committee as they prepare their final report. I think I mentioned a few weeks ago they had an open forum. Unfortunately, it was very poorly attended, but there were suggestions as far as how people would like to proceed, you know, with the compromise of the open town meeting, with other things. But one of the things that I know, there was a person who made that motion for the silent ballot. Unfortunately, that person, it was defeated, but that's democracy. But one of the things I would suggest, that if people had concerns or issues or recommendations, this is a perfect time while the iron's hot to submit those to the Town Government Study Committee so that they can enter those into their final report that I'm hoping to have before the annual town meeting. So that's.
Actually, a suggestion that was made to me by one of my constituents over the weekend, and the more I thought about it, and it's certainly worth forwarding along to Fran and the rest of the committee, is for whenever we have an instance where we know there's going to be a particularly hot topic, obviously, in this last meeting, it was the library addition project, is as people are actually checking in with the registrars, if you could have a very simple ballot that also gets passed out. Now, certainly a concern there would be, well, okay, wait a minute, we can always have an motion or an amendment, or a motion to amend a particular item. In a very complex warrant article such as we had, something like that is probably not going to happen. But it's worth considering, and worth at least, as I said, mentioning it to Fran and her committee, and certainly we can bounce that off of Mr. Barnett.
Well, it's already been done.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's illegal. Because.
Go ahead.
The next best thing.
People are watching from the Town
It's just that if you pass out the ballot, the yes/no ballot, I mean, they could give that to someone else and leave.
Right.
So that's why when you have a secret ballot, everybody has to be checked in again
Yes.
to make sure that they are in fact the registered voter who is casting that ballot. So, yeah, because we had, I mean, we talked about all different ways to see if we could, if it did happen, because we were kind of expecting that it was going to happen, how we could get it to move the process on a little bit quicker. But there's really no way. The way it is now is that everybody would have to get checked in again, and that's at that time is when they're giving their ballot.
Because I specifically had at least 3 people mention me in particular, they would have preferred a secret ballot. There's no way on earth they were going to wait or hang around another hour, hour and a half waiting for it to happen. So, darn. Good idea, but there was always in the details.
They really struggled with that and various other alternatives. They got